Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Cayman Haven. My name is Cayman. Everybody calls me Gary though, so you can just call me Gary. And I'm back here with my friend Hannah again. Hey
Hello,
Hannah.
again.
Yes, good to have you. Yes, and yeah, it's always nice to have you. And today's gonna be interesting because we're gonna be talking about Tenet, the latest Christopher Nolan movie, sort of like a high concept sci-fi action thriller. We are, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks removed from this movie.
I think so.
So yeah, so it'll be interesting because like I haven't seen it a second time. What about you? It's
Nah.
just the first time, right?
Yeah,
So
just one.
we're purely going by our first like watch of this movie. So, but I guess before we start, I just kind of like want to know from you, Hannah. Like, are you a fan of Christopher Nolan? Like, are you familiar with his movies? Like,
To be honest, it's a bit controversial, but actually, no, I'm not. Like, I mean,
that's
I
okay.
know of movies, but I don't watch most. I haven't watched most of them. The only one I've watched, I think, is Inception.
yeah,
But otherwise, I do know that he did Dark Knight. It's on my to-do list.
yeah.
But no, I think Inception is the only one. There might be some other ones that I can't think of right now, but I think Inception's the only one I remember.
Yeah, yeah.
And, of course.
Yeah. Okay. And were you a fan of Inception? Like, did you like the movie or?
It definitely is a movie that activates your mind, I would say. You really, really have to pay attention.
Yeah.
My type of movie, I really like. I like to kind of like shut my brain off
Yeah.
when I watch a movie. I kind of just want to relax, just look at the movie. That's it.
Yeah.
But Inception is definitely one where I feel like you need to make sure you're awake. And Tenet was definitely one where you had to pay attention. And even, it's going to get early into it, but like even watching it, I still didn't get it.
Yeah. Exactly. I guess, yeah, because Christopher Nolan, he loves making movies that are like very cerebral and thought-provoking. Like there's a lot of thought that goes into them. And I guess there's a way to sort of blend that sort of thought-provoking ideas and concepts with like entertainment and rousing set pieces and crowd-pleasing moments. And I feel like he manages that sometimes. For me, I'm a fan of Christopher. Well, I was a fan of Christopher Nolan for the longest time. I'm actually more of a like I'm more of a fan of his earlier stuff. Like I really like Memento, The Dark Knight, Prestige and Inception. Like I really like early Christopher Nolan. Whereas recently I found like his newer movies, I'm not as big of a fan. Like they haven't really done it for me.
What's the other films that he's released after Inception?
So basically it's The Dark Knight Rises. Which I thought was pretty. It's a movie with like grand ideas and like really big epic like set pieces and scale. But there's just so much plot holes and like logic problems with the movie. So and then after that he released Interstellar. With Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain, and I don't know, there's something about the movie like I think like I remember the things I didn't like about it more than the things I liked. So and it's also another like really high concept space, like it's a space movie and there's just lots of like ideas.
Is it a time travel movie?
I don't know. I feel like I'm so it's been like I've only seen it the one time and it just really didn't do it for me. And there were just long stretches of the movie where I like didn't like really like it as much. And then he did Dunkirk, which is like the war movie. That I don't know. A lot of people love the movie. I think I enjoyed aspects of it, but overall it just didn't do much, for me.
Yeah. So I haven't watched any of them. So
yeah. So no, that's fine. Yeah. So I like so his new movies, I just like haven't really gotten to them as much. The last one I really liked was Inception. So coming into Tenet, it was more sort of like, wow, this is sort of like going back to Inception. Kind of feels like he's going back to the like the high concept stuff, but then blending it with like a blockbuster, like action sort of movie. Now, so Tenet. Is like the title of Tenet is like a palindrome, right? The word Tenet, where it's like spelled, the same premise. Exactly. I was gonna. I was gonna build up to you. I was gonna say, that's okay. No, so I was gonna say, Hannah, as someone whose name is a palindrome as well, where it's spelled, backwards and forwards. What did you think of Tenet? Do you feel like, the movie really explored that concept for you.
I actually think the movie does that, like the word palindrome very well when you watch the movie, because it goes through like, like a typical movie where it's like, okay, something happens, and then it reaches like maybe the middle point, and it kind of like goes backwards. And it's the word, the palindrome, is really reflective of the movie, because you feel like, it goes back into something that happened in the previous movie. And you're like, I get it now, that type of thing. So a palindrome actually is a really good description of that word, because the movie, I feel like, is a palindrome in and of itself.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
It's just funny because, like, when you say Tenet, we always say Tenant with the N.
Yeah.
Rather than Tenet, or like Tenet.
Wait, how do you pronounce Tenet?
Isn't it? I pronounce it as Tenant. Tenant.
Oh, Tenant.
Right? Yeah, no, but I think it's meant to be. Is it Tenet?
It's Tenet. It's Tenet.
Yeah, but if you think of the spelling, Tenet, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. That's totally fine. I mean, if that's like how you want to pronounce it, it's totally okay. Oh, by the way, I just forgot to mention, I think it's really important that I don't think we can really talk about this movie without getting to spoilers. So I feel like probably best if we just give like a quick impression of what we thought about the movie, and then we'll just dive into spoilers, and then we can go from there. Okay, so we'll stay spoiler free and just talk about the movie. So did you like the movie? I mean, we saw it together with one other person, and I gotta say, like, first time watching it for me, like, I can't tell you what this movie is about because I knew absolutely nothing about the movie. What about you? Like, do you want to? What did you think about it?
I've never walked out of the movie so confused.
Yeah.
I understood about 10%, and then when things were happening in the movie where it's like, I think I get it now.
Yeah.
I don't think I got it.
Yeah. No.
So I definitely walked out of the movie being like, what? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I think our theater experience was more interesting than our response to how we felt about the movie. Like, we were there, people were confused. Like, you could tell half the time I looked at you and you looked at me, and we were like, what is going on? 10 minutes into the movie, we just didn't know. We just knew absolutely not what was going on. Like, we are just confused. I think for me, my biggest problem was the sound mixing was really bad.
100%. I couldn't understand half of the dialogue. It was... Yeah. I feel like he puts more effort on the visual effects, the sound effects, the music and stuff like that. But the audio of the main characters, I could barely understand anything. And I feel like for a movie like this, that's quite conceptually, like, it's abstract. It's it's not very like linear in terms of a timeline. Dialogue is very very important, but to not be able to hear what the characters are saying kind of like diminishes the movie a little
exactly.
bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially when you're introducing all these like really high concepts and really really thought-provoking ideas. I think as a filmmaker, you should try to at least make that discernible for the audience, so they at least know what the rules of these ideas that you're trying to convey in your movie. And half the time, the music is so loud. It's almost like the music takes over the audio half the time. So when people are talking, the music is still like really loud. So everyone just sounds like they're mumbling. Like, it's honestly one of the worst sound mixes I've heard in a movie deal, like in a movie, like it sounded like there was no like work that was done properly to make the audio comprehensible for us. Now I was gonna say, now we were supposed to have a third a mutual friend join us as a third guest today, but there was just some last minute changes, so he wasn't able to make it. Our friend was he watched it with closed captioning on, so he made the right move there, I think. It was really smart. So I was actually kind of hoping he would like be here today so that he can explain to us what the movie was. I don't know about you, but I mean, we've had 3 weeks to process about the movie. Did you still feel the same way towards the movie the first time you saw it, or have you been like intrigued and kind of keen to go back and watch it again?
I don't think I'm personally going to watch it again. After the movie, I was just like on YouTube, Tenet explain, like trying to actually understand what happened. But I think on the first view, I definitely really appreciate the visual effects. The fact that people are going forward and things are going back. Like, that all has to be
coordinated,
like,
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, coordinated. So I think that was something I really appreciated while watching it. Because I'm like, how the heck does this happen? Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's something that we should really give the movie credit for. Is that the coordination or the choreography or whatever of all of that. That's bloody amazing. To actually have to walk back and fight backwards as well. I think that is something a really good standout in the movie.
Exactly. And I think sometimes when I think there's like a thing with movies where sometimes you feel like that you could watch some movies, you know, like classic movies and stuff that were made, and there's like sense of wonder and awe when you watch a movie where you're like, how did they film that? How did they shoot that sequence? And I think this movie has a lot of like moments like that where you're like, wow, that must be incredibly difficult to shoot. Or how did they find a way to stage all of this where, you know, something is happening in a forward movement and another one is happening in reverse. So I think there's just a lot of like really awe-inspiring, visually stimulating like visual imagery that's going on in this movie. I just wish I understood half the things that was going on. I think for me, it was more like I did not like the movie the first time we saw it. I was just kind of like, man, this sounds really bad. This is really bad. I didn't understand half the things that was going on. But I've actually had some time to like sit and think about the movie, and I actually think this might be my favorite movie of his since Inception. Like, I actually think out of all the new ones he's made since Inception, this is the one that I'm the most intrigued by, and I feel like I really want to revisit it again. So that's how I feel about Tenet. And the more I think about it, the more I like the movie. And they're just like aspects of the movie that I really liked after the fact. So like, for example, I really like the music. Like, the music was absolutely horrible in the theater, but listening it like outside of the movie, like just listening the album by itself, like the score is amazing. So I thought like, the score was like great. And I thought the actors did a great job as well. Like, I really like the main lead, John David Washington. He's great in the role. I know some people were saying like he didn't have a lot of expression. He didn't emote a lot. He wasn't very expressive. But I actually thought I thought he was fine in the role. What do you think? Did you like the main guy, or did you?
I guess something to point out is that I never realized he didn't have a name during the movie. That's something I never picked up as well. I would always be like in my head, like, oh, what is that main character doing? Like, I never actually referred to him by his name. I think he's also a military man. Like, you get from trying not to spoil it, but like, you see from the beginning he's a military man. I don't think he's meant to be very emotional. Emotional, that type of thing. Like, I think he's been trained to kind of just be a little bit more, I guess, stoic and less responsive to things that. So I thought his character very well. His acting was great. The fight scenes were great. So I didn't think there was any issues in my opinion.
I thought he was just like I just like his demeanor. He was like really cool, really, really calm and collected. And I don't know, there was just something about like he just felt like a really cool like character. And then like, I love the fight do you remember there was a fight in the kitchen where he was being taken to the kitchen and people were gonna want to beat him up, but then he turns the tables against them. And at one point he picks up like a cheese grater and he's like hitting the guy with a cheese grater. Like,
I had to go, I was like this. I'm not a fan. Whoa. I was like, oh.
Like, up until that point, I was like, wow, like this was like a really awesome moment. And so I thought he was great in the role. Some people were complaining, saying that his character doesn't really have like motivation. Like, they feel like he doesn't really have a motivation to be doing the things that he's doing, or he doesn't like felt like they didn't really care about him. But and also the fact that he doesn't have a name, like, you know, that some people were complaining about that. But I actually kind of like the fact that he doesn't really have a name. Like, I like that he's kind of like a stand-in for the audience. Like, we are putting ourselves in his shoes as he's experiencing everything for the first time. So when he's questioning stuff, we are questioning it as well. So I think I kind of like that. I kind of like that he's like really a cipher for the audience. And I just kind of like the simplicity of like, well, we don't really need to know where he came from, you know, why he's doing what he's doing. He's just a man on a mission who's trying to prevent World War III. I think that's enough for me, you know.
I think it's definitely a very plot-driven movie.
Very.
It's more about the plot rather than the characters. I mean, the main female lead,
Elizabeth,
definitely she plays the biggest role and she has the most motions in the whole movie. But I think it's a movie that's meant to be focused on the plot and how what's going to happen, that type of thing. I don't think there was meant to be a focus on the characters
as much. Really. I mean, the only like you said, the only like person who really has any sort of character arc is the Elizabeth Debicki character. So she's like sort of the emotional core of the movie, I guess, in a way. But yeah, no, I just like the simplicity of that. She was really good in a role. Elizabeth Debicki is an incredibly talented and very, very photogenic, gorgeous lady.
You can just tell how tall that woman is.
Like she's great, and she's from Melbourne, you know. So we got to support fellow Melbourne actress. And then Robert Pattinson, who I absolutely loved in the movie. I thought he was great, even though I didn't understand what his role was, what he was meant to do, because I obviously didn't understand 80% of the movie. But I just thought he had a great style. Like I really like Robert Pattinson in that like sort of supporting role.
I haven't seen him act in anything. Oh, obviously like Twilight as Cedric. Edward Cullen. This is the first movie that I've seen him actually like
act.
I haven't watched The Lighthouse, but I do know that he's in that.
It's great. It's fantastic.
Great. But I don't know what happened. I personally wasn't a big fan of Robert Pattinson. I think because my only memory of him was Edward Cullen. But this movie made me really, really appreciate him a lot more, and just visually as well. Like I was like, oh, he's actually quite good looking in this movie.
He's so suave. So, he feels he's very suave. He feels like he's playing a James Bond character. But hey, Hannah. I mean, he's Cedric Diggory. Come on, Hannah. Cedric Diggory from Harry Potter, right? Which, by the way, we have to mention. I think we talked about this, but there's like 3 Harry Potter actors in this movie. There's
we did talk about that.
So there's Rob Hansen, there is Clemence Posey, who is that her name? Yeah, who was Fleur,
the one who plays Fleur
Ducour in Harry Potter, and then there's Kenneth Branagh as well. So yeah, lots of Harry Potter actors in this one. But all 3 of them were great. Anything else you want to say about this movie before? I think we have like pretty much jump into spoilers, right? I don't really have a lot to say. Would you?
No.
Would you? Now here's the thing, right? So this year has been a bad year for movies, and because of the COVID-19 thing, cinemas went to lockdown. A lot of theaters were closed. Nobody could go to the movie theater, and movie theaters are suffering financially all over the world. So for the longest time, a lot of people were actually counting on Tenet to like sort of be the movie that's going to draw audiences back to the movie theater. And I think even Christopher Nolan himself said like he was hoping that this would be the movie to save movie theaters in such a way. Yeah. So my question to you is, would you recommend someone watch this in movie theater after the experience that we had with this movie?
Look, I've seen people walk out of the cinemas during the movie. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, people walked out of our movie theater, so...
Yeah, so it's look, it's, I think, definitely having the name Christopher Nolan attached to that movie is a good thing. It's definitely bringing people to go watch it. And the length of the movie as well might also play a role, given that it's 2.5 hours. Oh, I don't know. I think just because it's been so long since, especially in Australia, because the movies were closed since March or something like that. So I think that's like a period of 8 months. I think, not that it's... I wouldn't know how to describe it. It's just a nice, long movie. It's something we actually have to
pay attention to.
It's not like a Netflix movie where you can kind of just like be on your phone the whole time. I think it's a good movie to kind of, not easy, but it's kind of like starting off really high up in the movies, because it's a movie that you have to focus, you have to listen to. It's a 2.5 hour film, so I think it's a very good way to kind of, it's very big to kind of like start up, I think. my argument. But it's not just an easy movie. Like, it's a movie where you have to be in a movie. You have to remember that, I'm in a...
You sort of have to, like...
I don't know if I'm putting it
No, I think you're right. You sort of have to give yourself to the movie. You kind of have to, like, drop everything. This is one of those movies that really demands your emotional... Your attention and your investment, I guess, emotional investment. And you just kind of, like, just have to go in. And I think it's good to, go back... I guess it's a good movie to, like... It's a big original mainstream movie to draw crowds back into the movie theater.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't think you should watch this movie in the movie theater, that's the irony of it all. Like, this movie that's supposed to save movie theaters, you can't watch it in a movie theater because you won't understand a single thing that's happening.
I think we have the conversation where it's like, if it had subtitles, I think we would have understood it a little bit better.
Exactly.
So if our friend was here who watched it with closed captioning, potentially he would have understood it a lot more than we did.
Yeah. I can't recommend anyone go watch it in a movie theater. Just wait till it comes out on home media with subtitles, and just watch it then, because you won't understand a single thing. And I think that's going to impede your enjoyment of the movie. If you just don't know what's going on, you're lost half the time. And one of the problems that a lot of people complained about Inception was that there was a lot of exposition. Like, almost an hour of the movie is just devoted to explaining how the rules would work. Instead of actually showing you how they work, he just had characters explaining to each other about, like, what's going to happen when you do this, when you do that. And he copped a lot of criticisms for that. And I feel like with Tenet, he just kind of went, you know what? I tried to make it easier for you with Inception. I tried to explain things. You guys complain. So you know what? I'm just gonna not bother. I'm just gonna... You guys are just gonna have to watch this movie. Understand it yourself. And you have to watch this movie at my wavelength. I don't care. I'm Christopher Nolan. I'm the greatest movie director on the planet, And he is like one of the, most produced, like... one of the best film directors we have right now. He's like one of the only directors, just like you said, who can sell an entire movie based on just his name alone. People will watch a movie if his name is attached to it, and he's also one of the last few film directors that are actually making original, like, big budget original movies when everybody else is doing franchise and franchise movies now. So I give him a lot of credit for that. But yeah, it just almost feels like he's like, no, I'm not going to explain it to you. I'm just going to throw it all together. Like, you just have to watch it on your own and then, like, pick it up. He's just not going to bother with that. I know you said it was like 2 hours and a half. Did you feel like the 2 hours and a half was...
Oh, look, I surprisingly did not feel like it was 2 hours. I think my mind was just so focused trying to understand the movie that my conception of time, how ironic, was like... I think it was just like... all over the place. I generally when I go to a movie, I kind of just check my phone to see what the time is, that type of thing. I checked it twice and I was like, oh wow, it's meant to be almost done now, that type of thing. So I don't think it didn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, exactly. No, it didn't feel that way as well. I felt like it went by pretty quickly, so I think it's got that going for it. Whereas I think Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar, there were moments where it felt like there was a lull during the movie. Like, there were points where, like, all right, you could move on a little bit quicker. This one, I just felt like it was pretty rapid paced. Yeah. So I think that's a good thing going. So I think we're both on the same page on this one. Go watch it at home with subtitles. Wait till it comes out on home media.
Yeah, I think as long as you can understand what the characters are saying, it's a lot better.
Definitely. Yeah. And for me, I think I sort of like the movie, like, thinking about it. Here's how I would describe my experience with Tenet. It's like going out on a date with a beautiful woman, okay? So she looks beautiful on the outside. She's great. She kind of looks like Elizabeth Debicki, right? She's great. She's got a great sense of style. She's classy. But then when she starts talking, you don't understand half the things she's saying. She has all these life principles and values that are like, oh, that seems really cool. I don't really understand how that works, but she has things to say. She has great ideas, And then the date ends, and you're like, well, that was a really confusing date. I don't know what I don't know what she's about. I don't know what. I don't know if I'm gonna see her again. Kind of thing. But then after 2 or 3 days, you're like, oh man, I can't stop thinking about her. This Elizabeth Debicki, she's amazing. Like, she has some things to say. I'm so intrigued. I want to get to know her more, kind of thing. And that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to a second date, I guess. And who knows, like, maybe after watching this movie a second time, like, Christopher Nolan, I'm ready to have a relationship with Tenet. I'm ready to bring this movie. I'm ready to introduce this movie to my parents. Kind of thing. So, am I? Oh, this metaphor is going all over the place, but that's it.
No,
that's how I feel. That's it. That's yeah. And one last thing I want to mention as well. Have you heard of this movie called Deja Vu? No. So Deja Vu is another movie that's also about time travel, and it stars John David Washington's dad, Denzel Washington, and it's almost exactly the same movie. Basically, like it has really similar concepts, but it's about Denzel Washington. There's a time travel element involved. It's directed by Tony Scott, the late Tony Scott, brother of Ridley Scott. And it's a really, really good time travel movie. And there are a lot of really similar ideas that Tenet is like playing with that movie also explores as well. There's also a really cool car chase in Deja Vu that reminded me of like a car chase that's in Tenet. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed Tenet, go watch Deja Vu. It's much, much easier to understand. It's a lot simpler, and it has a great ending as well. So I rewatched that movie after watching Tenet, and so go check out Deja Vu as well. I guess we can dive into spoilers. I mean, I don't really know where to start. We can just kind of go wild and just talk about anything, really.
My favorite scene in the movie, I guess, I really liked the gallery scene where with all the when they go downstairs with all the artwork and stuff like that. I love the way how it was filmed. I think it's almost similar to that hallway scene in Inception. Not really, but like
similar ideas where people are like, going in. One person's going in reverse, one person's going forwards. And I think that's the very first time we actually see inversion happening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think it was a really good way to kind of start it. When it happened, I was kind of like, what's going on? So I think that was definitely my favorite scene. Look, when I saw Robert Pattinson's character when he takes off the mask, I was like, oh, that was a really big hint for me that
something was up.
Something
he knew
up.
Something that
he knew something was up. But I really like that scene, the way
I
it was
agree.
choreographed.
And then we get to see that same action sequence played from the perspective of the assailant. So I thought that was so cool.
So spoilers, if people haven't watched it yet, it's actually them, but inverse.
If that makes sense. But it's just so cool. Like, and we actually see like a much bigger action sequence later, with like at the very end of the movie when you've got the blue army and the red army. One's going forwards in time and another one's going reverse, and they're both like sort of attacking each other, but they're both operating on a completely differone like timeline.
I don't know if it's a timeline.
Because I think there was like one part where someone shoots a missile or a grenade launcher at a building, and another person is retrieving the missile from the explosion of that building in reverse, and it's just such a mind-boggling scene, but it's awesome.
Because to see the building blow up, but it's also getting fixed
at the same time. So something like that was like really cool. I thought the car chase was really good too. Like when we were watching it for the first time, it's like, why is this car going in reverse, kind of thing. So that
and then it definitely makes a lot more sense the more you can progress like through the movie.
I mean, you've done some research on this movie. Like, was there anything, like, did you understand how the machines work? They were called the turnstiles, I think. So basically
actually, something to point out, I think because it was very hard to hear the dialogue, when they were talking about an algorithm, so the algorithm is like the final piece, like that will end the world, right? I had no clue what they were talking about. I actually thought they were talking about an algorithm being like a formula or something like that. And then so after realizing an algorithm is the final, like, I guess a bomb that destroys
that machine
the world.
That breaks into like three different parts.
I think that's an algorithm. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Sorry, what was the question again?
Well, the question was, how did the turnstiles work? You know, when they go into one machine and then someone comes out from the other end, you know, like...
I just don't think it was explained to me very well. Even now, after watching reviews, I still don't get it. I understand okay, if they inverse, hot's going to be cold, you're going to be walking backwards, they're going to be going forward, that type of thing. I understand that, but I still don't understand how the machine actually works. And I feel like that was a really big flaw in the movie because I personally didn't understand how it works. Okay. Do you want to explain it to me?
No, I don't. I still, I don't know. Yeah, I really have no idea how it works. Like, who built those machines? Did they? Exactly. Yeah. I know they say in the movie, like, apparently there's like a few of those machines, like around the world, kind of thing. Yeah. And so you just have to go to them and then like, you get inverted and things like that. And there's some cool ideas like Elizabeth Debicki gets shot. And then they have to take her through the machine so that the bullet could reverse itself out of her body in order to cure her or to heal her. And I was like, oh, that's like a cool thing. Did you notice that when you were watching the movie or no? Yeah, because
I did wonder. I was like, why are you bringing her back? I don't get it because they took her back to a time where it's like not even when she was shot type of thing.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely when it was that scene where in the two different rooms and he's seeing everything that's happening, but it's actually inverse. I just got so confused. I was like, because he could see it happening before it was going to happen. That type of thing. I think that scene was very confusing for me. I just couldn't understand it conceptually. I don't know. Did you understand it?
No, I just knew. I just liked the concept that like she's being shot in like present time. They take her back to the past so that the bullet could reverse, like because everything's moving in reverse. So the bullet's reversing itself out of her body, and that's their way of trying to cure her or like bring her, like to stop her from dying. And I thought that's like a really cool concept, but if you really dig deep into it, it just kind of, I'm not sure if it all holds up together. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. And the other thing that I really like, the concept is interesting, although it really doesn't make sense to me. Me and another friend was having a conversation about it. But you know how like when you get inverted, you have to put on a mask?
The airflow
kind of thing. But aren't you breathing? Like, how does the breathing work? Like, you're not breathing just once. You're breathing constantly. So air is coming in and coming out, but they're just coming out in reverse. So why do they have to put on a mask and do? Do you know what I mean?
I think they were saying it's that we breathe in oxygen, but then they breathe so normally we breathe in oxygen. Then when we breathe out, we take in the oxygen. It comes out as carbon dioxide. The CO2. So I think I remember in the movie they were saying something about like, okay, well, when you inverse, you're going to be breathing in carbon dioxide and breathing out the oxygen, which is...
That makes more sense.
So I think that mask is meant to... I don't know what it's meant to do, but it's meant to help with that. Because when they're in the inverse world, they're breathing in carbon dioxide, which we can't do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If that makes sense. I think that was in the movie.
Oh my God, you're blowing my mind right now, Hannah. That's amazing. Oh my God. I have to give Christopher Nolan all the credit here. I mean, like... That makes sense because when you're breathing, I didn't think about the carbon dioxide thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Well, I also didn't think about at the time when he was like, oh, if you blow up, because there's a scene when the car blows up. He says that when you blow up or when it is extreme heat, you feel extreme like hypothermia or something. He said something like that, and I think that's what in my mind I was like, okay, but I understood the breathing a lot better. I didn't really understand the heat and the heat and the cold type of situation.
What do you mean heat and cold? What do you mean?
So there's the scene where he blows up the car, right? And they bring him back, but because he blew up, he actually, rather than being burnt, he actually suffered from hypothermia because he experienced the inverse. It's so conceptually confusing when you try to understand it. I'm like, okay, I think I get it, but I also don't. Yeah. Because it comes out of the inverse. Actually, I don't know if he comes out, but there's a comment that Robert Pattinson makes when it's like, this is the first time I've seen someone in a car crash get hypothermia or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
It's definitely a movie you need to watch more than twice.
Yeah. I wonder that's what Christopher Nolan is like. He's like, I'm gonna make all the big bucks because I'm gonna make a movie that's confusing and everyone's gonna pay to watch this movie a second time just to understand what's going on. You know, like get repeat. That's how he's gonna try to orchestrate like repeat viewings by making it confusing. I know there was a part in the movie where the part when they go into the red and the blue room where you've got Elizabeth Debicki, she's being threatened by Kenneth Branagh and she gets shot, but then we see that scene sort of get played in reverse or something like that. I think, and then I remember you looked at me and you were like, you shrugged your shoulders and just shook your head. You were like, what the heck is going on? And was it because that was the most confused because I think it was the dialogue as well. It was a lot of overlapping dialogue and I just couldn't really understand it. Like I knew what was going on, but I think the dialogue really threw me off because it was almost like he was talking. I don't think it was talking in reverse or something. I can't recall, but it was something about the dialogue. You see it happen. But the way they were talking, it was like a loudspeaker and I'm like, can he see what he's seeing? Like it was just I could. You got it. Yeah. I thought you had that reaction because Aaron Taylor Johnson showed up. Do you know who Aaron Taylor? Oh, okay. So you don't know. So I thought that was the reason.
Wait.
He's the military guy that like shows up.
Oh.
He showed, and I thought you had that reaction because you were like, "Why is Aaron Taylor Johnson doing in this movie?" kind of thing. So I thought that was why. It was because we both had that like, "What the heck is that's just happened in that scene?" Okay, but there's some like cool stuff like I love at the very end of the movie when you see a dead body there and you're like, "Why is there a dead body?" And then the dead body comes back to take a bullet for him, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then you find out later that that's Robert Pattinson, which opens up another whole can of worms because I've heard like people say that there was actually multiple Robert Pattinsons in the scene.
I think during that time, I think there was 3 at that time. I can't remember, maybe even 4, but I remember watching a YouTube video where they kind of like drew all the times he inversed and how many of him was in that time. But in talking about that, I think it was during that scene where you see that little keychain off his bag. Yeah. I actually didn't realize this during watching the movie, but only after when I started watching some explain videos where you see in the final scene that when like the movie just ends that he walks off and you see that keychain at the back and then the protagonist realizes it's him. That keychain is also at the beginning of the film during the opera scene.
Oh, right.
So there's always this like interweaving web between Robert Pattinson's character and the protagonist. Because I remember coming out of the movie being like, I don't understand the very first. I don't understand this opera scene. I don't understand what the run was, other than showing that there's a reverse bullet. I think it was. But now it kind of makes a lot more sense that because I didn't notice in the first, obviously I've only watched it once, but I didn't notice the keychain showing.
The keychain. Also, that was actually in the opera scene as well. Like when you're watching it, yes. Which, by the way, I'm surprised that we've talked about 40 minutes and we haven't even talked about the opening scene, which is like so confusing because then you have people attacking the opera. Gunshots were going everywhere, but then the audience was asleep during that time. And then I was like watching because I was thinking of Inception, right? Are they like all dreaming or something? Like, I don't know. This is just me carrying baggage of other Christopher Nolan movies into this one. It was a cool scene though.
It was a cool scene, but then I felt like that scene seemed so irrelevant once you see the rest of the movie. As I was saying earlier, it's like a palindrome, right? You see, so you've got the what is it, the opera scene, then you get him kind of just explaining what's going on with this whole Tenet thing, and then it goes into the artwork scene, and then it goes into he meets the main female character thing, and then it kind of goes back, and it's like, okay, there was that scene, and that's it. Like it goes backwards, but that opera scene, I still don't get it. Like I think when I initially watched it, I was like, oh, this is a cool scene. But now when you finally put it all together, I still didn't see the relevance of it, other than the fact that it shows Robert Pattinson's character.
Yeah, that's like a cool idea of like, apparently Robert Pattinson was like, he was hired by the protagonist. But yeah, he's like been friends with, the protagonist for a long time. And there was a friendship there that was being built. So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this crazy theory that
I know which one you're going to talk about.
that Robert Pattinson is the son of Elizabeth Debicki? You heard about that? That's been debunked.
And it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But I haven't really looked more into it, really.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that would be kind of cool. But I think it will be a little... apparently, it's been debunked already, so...
it does seem a little bit like far-fetched.
Yeah. Was there anything that in this movie... I mean, we talked about the sound mixing that was like really bad. Was there anything that was bad in the movie? Or that was genuinely that you thought, oh, this is bad. This is probably not going to hold up on a second watch? Because most of the time, it's just stuff we're confused about, right? That will probably be better once you watch it a second time. Was there anything... Now, I can tell you one thing that I thought was kind of bad, but I thought Kenneth Branagh as the villain is not great. And I don't know, he was putting on a Russian accent. He just seems so cartoony to me. Like, he just seems like a villain from like a James Bond villain or something. But like in a really cartoonish, over the top kind of way.
I mean, they do explore his kind of like backstory, where he's he was the one who found the I don't know what it was, radioactive, whatever it was. I think him as a character was quite fleshed out. Yeah. I can understand his background and all that type of stuff. I think where you are coming from, but I personally don't. I think there was too many thoughts in my head that I didn't really pick up on the fact that he was a little bit over the top type of thing. I'll kill my wife. Blah 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 blah. Actually, I think one of my biggest flaw is, why does the protagonist have such an attachment to this character? To
Elizabeth the girl.
Yeah, I just don't see why.
Because it's Elizabeth Debicki and she's so hot, Why wouldn't you want to be, help her out, And yeah.
But I think in my mind, I was just like, why are you so fixated on her? Like, did you... Yeah.
Maybe he just took pity.
It wasn't...
Yeah, he just took pity and he wanted to help her out, Yeah. It does help that she looks like Elizabeth Debicki too, But now, all seriousness, I thought that was going to be a reveal that maybe his mother, like, he had a traumatic experience with another woman or something, and that's going to be the reason why he like helps her out. But I don't really know. I guess we might just have to watch again to find out why he had grown attached to her. But I guess it's easy to grow attached to. I mean, she's in an abusive relationship, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if obviously you haven't seen a lot of Christopher Nolan movies, but one of the biggest complaints, Christopher Nolan has like a few things that he repeats himself, like things that he does from time to time. The first one is accents. People talking with really heavy accents is something that's a recurring thing in Christopher Nolan movies. And it's almost worse here because you've got Kenneth Branagh with an accent, you've got Clemence Posey at the start of it, she's French. She has a really thick French accent when she's speaking, and she's trying to explain all these really important ideas to you, but the accent just gets in the way. The other thing is playing with time. So he likes playing with time in his movies, like playing with chronology. Yeah, like in Dunkirk and Memento, and I think in aspects of Prestige as well. And the other thing that he's very, like, the things that's always recurring in his movies is dead wives. So he has a lot of dead wives in his movies. Like, every male character in his movie is motivated by a dead wife, like a wife that's died, and
that makes sense.
So I kind of like the fact that he's going away from that. Like, instead of a dead wife, we had a wife who's a victim of battery, and now, and she has to like kind of stand up for herself, I guess, in a way. Like she kind of like sees her own agency back and take things in her own hands. So I guess I kind of like that. My question to you is that if you squeeze a bottle of sunscreen on the floor and you squeeze a lot of it, is sunscreen that slippery? I think it would be, right?
I think so. I don't see what. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you put a lot of sunscreen in someone's bag, they would just slide right off the chair, right? I think.
I think so. I mean, the deck was wet.
Yeah.
You know, I think there was she was showering. I think the water, and I don't know what sunscreen's made out of, but I think it would make it. Yeah.
The way Kenneth Branagh dies is kind of like, that was like crazy when she like, you know, slides him off the deck with all the sunscreen on, and he just like hit his head on a bar or something. That was a pretty comical death. But yeah, no, I mean, I've run out of things to say.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I do probably want to watch it again with maybe I need subtitles. I think that movie should be really commended for its ability to kind of. I like the scene where it's like going back and you're kind of like, oh, I get it. I get not really get it, but it's like, for example, was talking about the hallway scene, and then the protagonist is wearing, you know, the whole like military suit, and you're like, oh my god, that was that scene, and then they still keep going back. Oh, I remember that scene, and I think there's so many hints that Christopher Nolan puts in the movie that you don't notice on the first viewing. I remember during the car scene chase. He zooms into the side view mirror and things like that. Like, again, I didn't notice the charm on Robert Pattinson's character's bag, that type of thing. So I feel like if I watch it a second time, I might be able to pick up on them a little bit more as well. But you need subtitles.
Exactly. It does feel like he's done his homework. Like, he's not putting things in the movie for the sake of it. Like, he's actually leaving a lot of clues, a lot of breadcrumbs for you to pick up. Yeah. So I think it might play a second time better. I mean, overall, I went into this movie wanting to dislike it, like just because like I haven't liked any of his newer movies. So I went to this with like the lowest of lowest expectations, and I knew he was kind of like going back into like the high concept action thriller again, sort of like Inception. Inception was sort of like a science fiction heist movie, and this kind of feels like a science fiction James Bond movie, I guess. Everyone's really well dressed. Everyone looks really suave. They're in like really cool suits. Lots of like car chases and gunfights and stuff. So so went to it, wanted to dislike it, but I actually ended up like liking it more than I did. And I actually, you know, like I said, I really want to rewatch it again. And I think I might like really like enjoy this movie. You know, so. I've fallen out of love with Christopher Nolan, and he's got me back, Hannah. Like, I'm in love again. So
it's like that date you were saying about comparing the movie to a date.
Yeah.
Intriguing.
I mean, Christopher Nolan, till death do us apart, right? Like, I mean, like, I'm just really going to, I'm just, you know, it's got me excited for, you know, his other movies, like his next movie now. So, I'm kind of glad, because I was getting worried that I wasn't going to like this, but I think I liked it more than I thought I would. So, all right, you have anything? Do you want to have a last word? Anything more to say, or that's it?
No, that's it. Just watch it with subtitles.
Watch it with subtitles. Don't watch it in a movie theater. Save that money. Go buy the DVD instead, and then just watch it at home. You know, that'll be. Although by the time this video comes out, you know, most people might have already watched it, because Australian cinemas were open 3 weeks ago.
It's the only. I think it's like the only movie.
Exactly. Yeah, the big movie that you know people are watching at the moment. So I guess those are our thoughts on Tenet. First time watch. You know, I give it a 3.5 out of 5 for now. It could go up to a 4. The sound mixing is still the biggest detractor for me. I wonder if that's going to be fixed. You know, watching it at home.
When I first watched it, I think it was about like a 3. I think a movie, if I walk out of a movie confused, I don't think it's done its job. But I think maybe to a 3.5 to a 4, now that I've kind of understand it a lot more and kind of really appreciate the effort that's gone through in terms of the filming aspect, the choreography, visual effects, all that type of stuff. So I would say like 3.5 to a 4 for me.
Okay. Right. So, do you know how when we did our Blackpink video, I said that the Blackpink documentary is the best movie I've seen all year? That place has not been... The Blackpink documentary has not been dethroned by Tenet. Let's just put it that way. I still love the Blackpink documentary more than Tenet. Hannah, thank you so much for joining with me.
Thank you for having me
it was
again.
Really fun watching this movie. and us both being confused at the same time.
Just looking at each other.
What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And just being like, didn't understand half the time that was going on. But yeah, it was fun. And yeah, thank you again for, coming to, just review this movie and talk about how we didn't understand half of it. Guys, you can follow Hannah over at Hannah Trana. Yeah, I did it. I said it once. I did it perfectly. Great. Yeah. Hannah Trana over at Instagram is where you can find her doing, great.
It's also a palindrome as well. The spelling of it is a palindrome.
Hannah.
Yeah.
HANNARTRANNAH. Okay. Oh yeah. So the T. So the T is the P is the middle bit. Yeah. P is the middle bit. Yeah, because there's no other T, right? That's really cool. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, awesome. And yeah, so final word there. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching this review. And yeah, see you guys next time. Thanks. Okay. Bye. Bye.